This is the Huawei Ascend P7, the company's latest flagship smartphone. Now, if you're looking at it from a distance, you probably won't notice anything particularly special about it. It looks very much like any other smartphone. Get up close though, and this is really quite a beautiful piece of kit. Imagine, for example, that the Sony Xperia Z2 and the Apple iPhone 5S had something of a love affair. The output would look rather like this. There's a glossy Gorilla Glass back, Gorilla Glass front, a strip of aluminium running around the edge. It feels solid. This feels like a classy handset through and through, and it is light as well. It's 124 grams, only about probably a couple of penny sweets heavier than the Apple iPhone 5S at 112 grams. And it's seriously slim too, only 6.5 millimeters thick. That's pretty much thin enough to make every other flagship smartphone on the market look seriously porky. Now, it is a bit smaller as well. That 5-inch screen on there means that it's a little bit more pocketable, a little bit more pleasant to hold in the hand than a lot of the current flagship smartphones, which are frankly getting a bit huge. And the screen is fantastic. IPS, 1080p, really bright, side by side with the Xperia Z2. It's every bit as bright, if not a bit brighter. Colours are rich and vibrant. It's a cracking display. That HD screen is partnered with a pair of pretty capable cameras. At the back, you've got a 13 megapixel sensor, f2.4 lens. You've got an 8 megapixel, however, camera on the front for the really high detail selfies. It also means you can do something Huawei's dubbed groofies. It means you can tilt the camera towards yourself, tilt it left and right, and then you get a wide angle group selfie. Something we're sure is going to catch on. Shots from the back also are fantastic. There's a high-end signal processor in there, which does a fantastic job dredging up detail from the darkest to the lightest parts of pictures. It worked really well in some of the test shots we've been taking. Actually start using the phone and you notice that Huawei's done a lot with the actual OS as well. Android 4.4.2 is pretty much unrecognisable. It's all got a bit of a kind of iOS style sheen to the whole process. There's a new system tray, new application tray, new lock screen. They've really gone to town on this. Whether you like it or not, a matter of personal taste. Powering the whole show, there isn't the usual Qualcomm Snapdragon chip that we've seen in other rival handsets. Instead, there's a high silicon Kirin 910T chip with 4 cores running at 1.8 GHz. There's an ARM Mali 450 GPU alongside, which all on paper sounds pretty good. In our benchmarks, however, it's not that snappy. SunSpider browser benchmark took around 1,100 milliseconds to complete. Now you compare that with the absolute best out there, the Samsung Galaxy S5 for instance, that's doing it in almost a third of the time at 390 milliseconds. Graphics gaming benchmark, 12.4 frames per second for the Huawei Ascend P7, which is something about half of its rivals. Some things like the Apple iPhone 5S are scoring near 34, 35 frames per second in the same test, so this is some way off the pace. There's also a few obvious features missing. For example, there's no 802.11ac Wi-Fi. That high-speed Wi-Fi is normally present on most of the other flagships. This, you only get single-band 802.11n. That's a bit disappointing. It's especially disappointing given that Huawei have gone to town by adding Cat4 4G support, which means when you're away from the home and away from your Wi-Fi network, you can get download speeds of up to 150 megabits per second. It's a bit of a shame. To wrap up, it's a really nice feeling phone. It looks great, it feels great, the cameras are really good. The final question, cost. Huawei says it's going to be retailing for €449, which translates to around £360. At that price, it's got a lot of competition. It's not much faster than the Moto X or the Nexus 5. The Nexus 5 at $299 is a lot cheaper. It might lack things like the microSD slot and so forth, but unless this comes in at a really keen price, it may struggle to make friends.
Click to subscribe to our YouTube channel and come back every Wednesday for new hot hardware videos.